Dear friends, in 1998, Wall Street Journal carried an article about the number of people, especially professionals, who have returned to church after being away for a while. The article says, Kenny got a job with a brokerage firm, a 600,000 bachelor pad, and a blue Jaguar with vanity plates. But he says, here I am 45 years old and my life is empty. So Kenny decided to go back to church. People like Kenny got serious about their relationship with God only at a critical moment in their life, like a death in the family, a loss of job, or a serious accident. Interestingly, people like Kenny also turn to such things as self-help books, volunteer programs, or some evening courses in philosophy and religion. Although Kenny resisted his first impulse to go back to church or his parish, now he is a regular at every Sunday Mass, and he keeps that part of his life to himself. Because Kenny is afraid he may be written off by his colleagues as a Jesus freak. This miraculous happening or multiplication of the loaves and fish did not evoke the expected response of faith in those people who had witnessed it. The people were pursuing Jesus not because they saw signs of Jesus' divinity, but for more food rather than spiritual truths that Jesus was teaching them. The disciples were expecting a sign like the manna, which their ancestors had eaten in the desert. But Jesus invites them to expect something more than a miracle of manna and tells them, it was not Moses who gave you bread from heaven. My Father gives you the true bread from heaven. Along with the physical hunger, there is always within each one of us another hunger, a more basic hunger, which cannot be satisfied by ordinary food. It is a hunger for a life, a hunger for eternity, a thirst for God. The sign of the manna was the proclamation of the coming of Christ the Messiah, who was to satisfy our hunger for eternity by himself becoming the living bread that gives life to the world. Thus, Jesus truly becomes the nourishment for those who believe in him. Jesus wants the people to see the miraculous feeding of thousands as a sign to show who really he was and why he came into this world. The miracle was about more than physical food. Now they must progress from eating the bread to seeking Jesus as a source of eternal life and the object of their faith. The famous British author and writer Frank Sheed once wrote, our hearts have a God-shaped hole in them that only God can fill. He says, the human heart has a deep spiritual hunger, but instead of helping people to satisfy this hunger, we give them material things, a temporary solution. We try to distract people from what is troubling them in the way that we try to distract a crying child by giving it a candy or making some funny faces. Whereas in our journey of life, we tend to seek out what might be lasting because we realize that it can enrich us and make us better human beings. For example, having found something of real value, we often return to it, whether it is a book or a good music. We know from our experience that what we really cherish, not so much the things we have, but the people we love. A good friend is worth so much more to us than a good book or a good piece of music. There is nothing more valuable to parents than their children. For those who are in love, their treasure is the beloved. We want the people we love or value to last forever. But in reality, nothing in this physical world lasts for eternity. Dear friends, in a few moments, we will receive Jesus, the bread of life. And as we do, let's ask God's grace not to forget that the food and drink of this world can never satisfy our spiritual hunger, the hunger of human hearts. Certainly, St. Augustine explained it very well. He said, "Our hearts are made for God, and they will not rest until they rest in God."